is a place for you here at Brady. And I also wanted to mention that we have a youth program here at Brady called Team Enough. Team Enough is ages 13 to 26. We have an incredible lobbying collective where we train young people to lobby. We have groups on college campuses all over the country. And we have a really great community of young people that are making a difference. So if you know anyone, or maybe you're in that age group, we'd love to connect with them. We're also really proud that at Brady, we have paid internships as well. So I'm going to stop sharing, but I would love to go around and hear what brought you to this meeting, if you're with a certain organization or if there's something you're working on. I'd love to hear it. So I'll go ahead and start. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Becca, would you start us out?
Sure. I'm Becca McCracken. I'm a longtime volunteer with Moms Demand Action, and I'm with an organization called Marion County Youth Violence Prevention Coalition. So we actually just finished up a gun lockbox giveaway. We do a lot about talking to people about secure storage of firearms, but also want to see some laws changed. And I think the nonpartisan part is really tricky. So that's me.
Thank you. It definitely can be. And Keith, I'd love to hear from you as well.
I recently moved back to Indiana after being gone 60 years, and I'm a grandpa, great grandpa. I've been a social justice activist all my life. I'm wondering what's going on in the state to bring some sanity to our state and our nation. I'm part of a denomination that has been supporting turning guns into plowshares. It's part of my religious heritage to be against killing, and guns seem to be. I'm from Canada originally, and my cousins and relatives there wonder what in the world is wrong with us, that we are so poor in terms of health and violence. So I wonder too. I tend to wonder why good people, like I understand most of us here in this country to be, are so set on violence and on gun ownership.
Thank you so much for sharing, Keith. And I hope that there is a place for you in this movement as well. It's awesome that you recently moved back to Indiana. Where were you before that?
In Iowa for almost 50 years.
Oh, well, great. I'm not too far. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
All right.
not far at all.
Right.
Steve, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Steve Dunlap. I've lived in Indiana for almost 50 years, and I've been involved with a group called Hoosiers Concerned About Gun Violence since about 1999. Written a number of letters to the editor for the Star and testified in the legislature. It's been a pretty dim picture here. I've looked at numbers and things are simply only worse since 1999, and we just need, I think, different politicians in this state.
Yeah, we hear you, Steve. Thank you so much for that. And we hope that you all will look at our endorsements that we've been putting out too. We'll have more after the primaries, but you can find those at bradypac.org. And we hope to support some candidates there as well. Jerry, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I was muted. Hi, I'm also, as Steve just introduced himself, I'm also with Hoosiers Concerned About Gun Violence. I know about 4 people on this call, which means that there are about 8 people on this call whom I don't know. And so I wonder if, Rachel, if there's any possibility of you sharing our names and contact information after this call. Is that a possibility?
I think so, yes. I'll make sure I get permission from everyone that they're okay with that. And then I'll certainly send you the ones who say yes.
So certainly with people's permission, but we're all, Hoosiers Concern is a little bit central Indiana focused. And so, of course, we'd love to know people from Goshen and other parts of the state. Steve said organization is about, we are trying to, environment for legislation in Indiana is just extremely difficult. And so we're trying to find ways that we can contribute and make a difference outside of legislation specifically. So we're trying to beef up what we do in community education. And we're on a long path trying to launch a youth leadership initiative in Indiana. That's going to be largely central Indiana focused at first, for kind of practical reasons, but we have ambition to be more diverse and geographically.
That's great, Jerry. Thank you. And I'd love to connect you with our Team Enough leaders as well, because we can definitely provide you some materials maybe, and maybe there's a chance for us to partner in some ways to help you build out those chapters.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Pam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Pam Taylor. I have been involved with Moms Demand Action, but the last year I've kind of stepped back a little bit. My son died by gun suicide in 2015, and so since that time I've been very active in AFSP, really pushing red flag laws within our community. Within my local community, we got a resolution signed by the mayor in 2019. So also lost teams. I won't go into that, but just the importance of providing support for survivors of gun violence. A peer support person through every town and facilitated support groups. So I've had some eye surgery and different things. I've kind of stepped back, but things are looking better, and I'm hoping to advocate more for gun violence safety laws. And it's just our state needs lots of help. With unintentional shootings, they're just heartbreaking. I'm a retired teacher, a special ed teacher, and I worked in a co-op, and right before I died, within a couple years, there were 5 boys that died by gun suicide in that county. So very concerned about our teens and our youth and the mental health and the crisis intervention. And there's just so much to training for red flag laws, like getting our law enforcement trained in how to use it, and even judges and court people. It's just not used effectively. So.
Thank you for that, Pam, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Our team here at Brady is made up of mostly survivors, and we definitely feel for you, and we're hoping to make changes so it doesn't happen to others. Catherine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would be happy to. Hi, my name is Catherine. I am from the central Indiana area, not from here originally, relatively new to the state. And I am not affiliated with any organization as pertains to this topic. I'm simply a concerned citizen. I have not always been on the side of having laws in place for guns, but have over the last 5 to 7 years become convinced in having conversations with people and just seeing the increasing amount of tragedy that has erupted because of guns falling into the wrong hands, and hope to basically find a place potentially at Brady where I can channel this passion and hopefully use my past stances to facilitate open conversations about what gun control means with people who might be inclined to disagree, if that makes sense. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Catherine. And Here at Brady, we definitely welcome anyone who wants to help us make a change, even those who may have had different past, different things that they believed. So I would love to hear a little bit more about your past stances and what really made you join this movement. And I think that you definitely have a great voice in this movement that could be useful for especially gun owners. We have lots of vets and things that we're trying to get onto our team as well, and having that voice is definitely really important. I see on my screen next, John, would you like to introduce yourself? And John, you're muted, but if you'd like to introduce yourself, that would be great. Okay, Coop, would you like to introduce yourself? Is either John or Coop available to introduce themselves? That's the name on my screen. It might be Cooper. We'll come back to them. Kenny, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm currently affiliated with the Eternal Activism. I'm from New York, and although we have stricter gun laws here, we still have gun violence. And I recently had lost a friend of mine due to gun violence, and because I'm in this activism, I found you guys on Mobilize, so I was able to get into finding you guys and be able to help more on gun laws.
Thank you, Kenny, and so sorry for your loss as well. Could you tell us where you're from, Kenny?
New York.
Okay, we can definitely connect you with our New York chapter leaders as well. Nadia.
Hi, I'm Nadia, and I'm also with Turn Up, and that also advocates for social justice issues and issues that one must be passionate about. Even though I'm not from the area that you guys are having this in, Virginia, even though it's less, the gun violence is less, let's just say dominant there. I still believe that gun violence is an issue that needs to be treated, and that I just kind of wanted to figure out any legislation that would kind of help with that.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for joining. I'm going to put an email in the chat here, and it's going to be chapters@bradyunited.org. If you both will send me an email, I can definitely connect you to your chapter leader within your area. And if you know anyone interested in Indiana, we'd love to be in touch with them for these meetings as well. So there are several things that we're trying to do here at Brady, like I said, and we have chapters all over the country. We unfortunately don't have a strong presence in Indiana yet, but we're hoping to build that out. And I think the individuals on this call all sound fantastic and amazing and can definitely help us with that. Like I said, we have lots of resources. We have a policy team that can keep us up to speed on things happening in your legislature. If you would like to meet every few weeks to go over things happening in your legislature, we also have resources such as draft op-eds, if that's something you're interested in. We have presentations ready to go if you want to give presentations to your communities. We have handouts, flyers, all sorts of things. So I'd really love to hear a little bit more about the things that all of you are interested in seeing Brady do, or you are interested in volunteering for. If anyone wants to jump in on that.
I guess I'm most interested in hearing if you have some sort of strategy, even as we're halfway through our legislative session, particularly on the bills that are still alive, especially the one about the state being the only one who can sue.
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, we cannot talk much about that because we're going through some legal stuff, but we hope that within the next coming weeks, we're able to share more information and even advocate on that issue. The bill that I know you're talking about, it has gone through the courts a few times, and we're finally at a point of discovery where we think that something can happen with it. So we kind of can't say anything about it right now because of the legalities, but we hope that, like I said, in the next few weeks, we're able to bring you something that you can activate around and go from there.
Are you all actively lobbying against the bill in Indiana currently? Or are you unable to do so because of the legal situation?
That's a good question. Shika, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, hi Becca, Shika Hamilton, Vice President of Organizing at Brady. Unfortunately, our tongues are tied right now on that particular issue because of the pending case. And just for everybody's knowledge, there is a case on behalf of the city of Gary, Indiana, that we filed 25 years ago against the gun industry. And that's on our website, Rachel or Lucas, if you can pull up the link. That's available, more information on the lawsuit. And so because it's pending, we can't talk further about what's happening. So I apologize. That's directive from our attorneys.
But yeah, that's a great point, Becca. And like I said, we are hoping that as that starts moving in the legislature or things get resolved, we're able to bring you more information about it. And hopefully this group can help us with some activities surrounding it as well. But I'd love to hear from anyone else if there's something in particular that you'd love to see happen, or if you want to maybe have tables at local farmers markets, or like what your interests are and how we can help you at Brady.
I
That's great, Cooper. Chika, would you like to? I saw you.
Yeah, we're not familiar with Walk the Talk, but thank you for sharing that. I know that in California, where I sit, we do have a law on that subject where people that are in a crisis can drop off their gun at a gun dealer or a gun store. But we will definitely look into this organization you provided, and thank you for that. Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for that.
thank you so much. And while we have you, Coop, do you want to introduce yourself because we missed you earlier? Great. And
Rachel, do you mind if I jump in for a second there? Because
yeah,
I really appreciate the different points of views here, and that's what we're about, because we are nonpartisan, and our founders were Republicans, right? And Jim and Sarah Brady, and so we really like to provide a safe space for all voices, and that's why our End Family Fire program is one we talk about a lot, because safe storage is the key to saving numerous lives. I think Rachel earlier mentioned that 76% of school shooters get their firearm from the home. And so we could be saving lives just and making a huge dent there. And so particularly Coop, like you're a firearm owner, it's really important for communities to be educated, just not to make anybody feel bad about owning a gun, but just talking about responsible gun ownership and keeping their kids safe, families safe, and their communities safe. We're not the group to do that, but I believe there are other groups potentially doing that, because what we're trying to do is make sure that responsible gun ownership occurs, that the gun industry acts according to the law, because we know by fact, by the numbers, that we can make a dent in the gun death rate by just following the law and safe storage.
And also, not necessarily in the scope of training students or young people on how to handle weapons. We have been able to pass legislation, like legislation we passed in California that requires school districts to send something home at the beginning of the school year, talking about safe storage to parents. We're hoping to do that in places all over the country, and you can even advocate for your own school district to start implementing some of that language into something that they send home every single year as well. And I'm sure we can put some of that in the chat as well, some information so you know how to do that. But we have draft letters that you can send to your school superintendents and school board and that kind of thing. So that's one way that you can take action as well.
Oh, and Coop, I would also like to share with you information that back in 2017, I believe it was, the Government Accountability Office reviewed several programs that were out there about children and gun safety. And they indicated that the ASK program that we have was the most effective because it put the onus on the parents to lock up their guns, and it didn't require the child to do anything. So it was focused on adults doing the right thing, and they thought that that was the most effective. Yeah, that is one of the things the Government Accountability Office reviewed, and they found it more effective for the adults who are the legal purchasers to be responsible more than putting the onus on the child. But we can have that discussion another day. I know Catherine had a question or comment too.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Rachel's original question about resources that we might be interested in. Something that I think benefit from would be resources just in terms of educating myself on the statistics of gun violence. Like those numbers that were shared earlier, I know that like it's an emotional topic. It's but I don't know that I can convince anybody by my, emotions purely. So to have the logic and just the head knowledge to be able to have a conversation would be great. And then and then I really also like the ideas, like being involved in the the home firearm program, or like tabling at a farmer's market. I think that was something Rachel said, kind of just as an example, but those kinds of things that feel really tangible. I've tried writing to my representative, and I sort of feel as though I get the form response back, and I might just be cynical, but it's very disheartening as an individual citizen. It feels like I'm so helpless. And so to be able to do something to get out in the community and have actual conversations with voters and others in the area, I think would be great. And then also just to be partnering with Brady, which is a hugely respected organization, nonpartisan, which is going to be huge this year, I think. So I'll quit rambling. But yeah, those are just some things that stood out to me of interest.
Thank you, Catherine. It sounds like we could definitely put you to work. We have some trainings on how to give presentations surrounding our EFF program, and we have some presentations ready to go with the slideshows with all the statistics and things as well that I can definitely talk to you offline about and get you some of those resources to see if maybe there are some groups that you'd like to give those presentations to. And if there's any farmers markets, or if you maybe want a table at Pride or anything like that, we'd be happy to see how we can get you the materials or even help cover some of those costs associated with that kind of thing.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Jerry?
Thanks. First, I want to say, Catherine, my organization would really, really like to get to know you. I think you said that you live in Central Indiana. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I would love it if we could reconnect.
Sure.
What I was going to say before that is, can you describe what a Brady chapter looks like at the state level? And how our organizations might connect with it, and maybe even help it happen. Just what's a Brady chapter do?
That's a great question, Jerry. And I would love to help you get one started. So we have chapters all over the country, like I said, but we currently do not have one in Indiana. But I would love to have all of you together and join a Brady chapter that Lucas and I, my colleague on this call, can help facilitate. And it really depends on what your ability is for the chapter. We don't ever tell you that you have to be on so many calls or you need to do so many meetings per week or per month. It's really up to you. We have chapters that meet every 2 weeks. We have chapters that meet every month. So it really just depends on what works for all of you. And we work in coalitions as well. So we work with lots of organizations. I know several people on this call have mentioned organizations that they are already part of, and we'd be happy to continue working with them under the scope of our Brady chapter. And we can provide all the resources. So like I mentioned to Catherine, if you come to us as a Brady chapter and say, I'd like to have a table at Pride, and that table is maybe $200 for that weekend of Pride, if you let us know a few weeks in advance, Brady can help reimburse you, get you all the materials, send you Brady t-shirts, banners, all the flyers, all the materials that you would possibly need. Some of our chapters are all about planning rallies and protests. A lot of our chapters are all about lobbying and contacting their legislators. Some of them like to write postcards or op-eds. It really just depends the type of work that you want to do. We have an incredible chapter guide here at Brady that has a whole list of options of things that you can do. And we're always more than happy to listen to your suggestions as well. So if you come to us and you say, I saw that this music festival is happening next month, I'm thinking I could have a table there, or maybe show up with my clipboard and have people sign this petition, or that kind of thing, we'd be happy to figure out how we can make that happen.
And just to add on to Rachel, I'm really excited some of you that represent other organizations are here, because that's what it's all about. Like, we can't do this work alone. We all need to work together. And so we'd love to, form that coalition moving forward. maybe have a state call once a month or something, just to, you know, make sure we're all working together and on the same page and support each other.
Definitely. And I noticed, Ray, you joined after we did introductions, but I'd love to hear where you're at in Indiana and a little bit why you joined us. You're muted, but if you hover over your picture, there should be a mute button in the top right. Oh, there you go.
Right there. I've been with Hoosiers Concerned About Gun Violence for several years, serving as treasurer currently. So certainly anxious to learn about other opportunities to serve.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Does anyone else have any questions for our Brady team? Yeah, that's a great question. And that's why we're also, through our Team Enough group, are trying to talk to more schools and have college campus chapters as well to educate students. And, you know, talk to parents at parent-teacher meetings and all sorts of different ways. So I'd love to connect offline to Coop and see if there's any other ways that you think that we can be reaching those students and see if we can make it happen.
And just to add, oh, go ahead, Lucas, you haven't talked.
I guess, I don't know, Shika, maybe you're going to say something similar, but I think, and I know that Rachel mentioned it earlier, we believe that this is one of the great strengths of the Ask Day as well as the Ask campaign. It's a way to build that confidence, build that way of saying, look, in the same way, if you went to a parent's house and say, hey, Jimmy or Sarah is allergic to peanuts, or hey, is there a fence maybe around the open pool? Giving people those confidence and those talking points to be able to ask someone, look, is there a unsecured firearm in the home? And giving people that ability for parents to have those interactions with other parents, which sometimes can be a little awkward, but trying to give people that understanding that, hey, this is about the kids. We're making sure that we both have 2 kids entering that home and 2 kids get to go home to their families to enjoy dinner afterwards. So we would love to be able to talk to you even more about the Ask Day itself, as well as the entire encompassing program of Ask, to exactly build that confidence between different families so that they can have those conversations.
And that's something we do have surviving parents whose kids were killed by exactly those type of incidents you described, Coop. And so that's where the Ask campaign came from, is having those conversations and not making them awkward, but having just honest conversations. Hey, do you have an unsecured firearm in your home before my child comes over to play? And the father, what? I didn't hear that last. Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't comment on the legal part, but I can say that holding parents accountable, they handed the firearm to an underage child. I mean, so there's clear responsibility there on the part of the parents. Yeah.
If you don't know, they actually, not long before the shooting, bought the firearm for the child, who they knew had mental health problems.
Yeah.
Fairly severe.
Yeah. So there was clear responsibility here. Um, Rachel?
We've had other cases in Indiana and which generally the parents or relatives are not held responsible, even though they have kept unsecured firearms, which children have obtained and taken to school. And we would like to see that change in the law.
Yeah.
Well, it's an element of negligence. I mean, if you have a very sharp knife in your cabinet and your child gets it and cuts himself, you might be in trouble about it. And a firearm is much more dangerous than that. Well, it has to do more with parents. Well, the point is, if children are not responsible because they are not old enough to have knowledge about what they're doing. So if a 10-year-old gets a hold of a gun, you can't really say, gee, he should have known better and shouldn't have done that. You have to say the parents should never have given that child access.
And that's where the first criminal act occurred, is the parents buying a firearm for an underage child.
Well, if you took it to school, well, first of all, if your parents knew you had mental health problems and you took that gun to school the day after you bought it and shot your teacher and several classmates, yes, your parents might be held responsible. You would too at that age, but they might as well.
Yeah, and we appreciate that perspective too, Coop. It's definitely important to hear from gun owners and hear, their perspective as well, because it helps us come up with our own policy stances here at Brady and figure out how we can better advocate for safe storage and things as well.
It actually does, because if the insurance is in your name, there's insurance, registration, liability there too. Yeah, but what I was referring to is the criminal act occurred right at the beginning in this Michigan case, where they gave a gun to an underage child. That was the first criminal act that took place. In this country, we have to have background checks if you're going to possess a firearm. And so that did not occur in that case, because they handed it. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know where you lived at the time and what the law was at the time. But again, in a lot of states now, you have to be 18 years old to possess a firearm. So the laws are changing. And I hear you loud and clear, Coop, what you're saying. And again, we're not against responsible gun ownership. Right.
I think technically that was their gun that they were letting you use. not your gun at your age. Well, they may have purchased it for you, but they were still responsible. Just as if you're driving their car, it's their car and you're driving it and they're responsible for what you do with it.
That's right. If
don't
you
know the
caused an accident with injury, your parents would have been responsible.
I'm not sure we're going to settle any of these.
Yeah.
questions here. Maybe the
I
others
agree,
can
Keith.
help. I hear you, but I'm not really interested in continuing this conversation in this group. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Keith, for your comments. And we did go down a rabbit hole, so
Yeah,
I apologize for that too, going along.
we can definitely continue this conversation offline, and
Fine.
even if our policy team has something to say about it, I'd be happy to send you some information that they've found about it or answer any of your questions. But I would love to talk about next steps, because I know that that's all why we're here, is to make a
Sure.
difference and to end gun violence. So I would love to hear if you are all interested in meeting again and what that timeline looks like. Would you like to meet in another 2 weeks? Would you like to meet next month? I would definitely love to continue the conversation with you and even send you some action items of things that you can be doing in your communities. Does anyone have an opinion of when we should meet next?
Yeah, I'll speak up. My Hoosiers concern, I'll take the liberty of speaking for the four of us that are on the phone here. I think we would love to figure out how to have a more ongoing and not constructive, creative relationship with Brady. And my question a little bit ago reflects I don't really know what that would look like, but I'm definitely interested in learning whether a relationship with Brady can strengthen us, and then what we could do to make that happen. That kind of conversation, whether the next call might be something wider than that, that would be fine. But that's something that I think we'd be interested in figuring out.
Definitely. Thank you. And I would love to meet with your group separately too, to see how we can make that connection. But for this group, I'm thinking that we'll meet again next month, unless there's something that comes up before then. But does this date and time, does this Wednesday at this time work for everyone, or is this a bad time? Good. I see some thumbs up.
Okay.
Jerry said kind of. Okay, Coop says it works for Coop. So we'll look at, the first week of next month maybe for our next meeting, and I'll make sure you're all invited. I'll probably send out an email asking you all if it's okay if I share your information with Jerry, along with some action items of things that you can be doing in your communities. But thank you all so much for joining, and we'll definitely be in touch, because we definitely have lots of actions that you could take here at Brady.
Thank you for presenting this option tonight.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
so much
And
for
we'll
joining.
also email you all those links that were put in the chat.
Great,
that you
good.
have them.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Stay
Hoosiers.
safe,
Thank
everyone. Have a great evening. I guess, Rachel, give me 1 second so I can make sure I remember which links I sent. Sorry, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, I'm not going to close the meeting yet, so you can make sure you get the chat.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just want to make sure that I'm not losing anything. Okay, excellent. There we are. All right, excellent. Okay, I've saved it, so we're good.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. Thank you all so much for joining. And
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Stay safe. Have a wonderful evening.
Oh my God. So anyway, if nothing else, which I just turned my screen on finally, if anything else, we figured out that gun control groups don't give a rat's ass about gun safety, or groups that will actually help people in mental crisis. That's the second meeting I've been on like that. Another one was not too long back with the Giffords group. So anytime I can do this, I'm going to do it. Holy fuck. No, if your kid runs someone over with the car, hold on, Warsaw. Let me send you a link and I'll let you jump in. All right, let me send Warsaw a link. Oh my fucking God. It hurts. Make it stop hurting. Da, 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 da. If I learn to type one day, I swear to God. Let me reply to that. Paste that. Send that. All right, Warsaw should be getting a link. As soon as he gets in here, I have got to pee like a Russian racehorse. Oh my God. So anyway, you guys see some of the shit that I do. Because I follow these groups and Brady and the others. I'm on their mailing or email shit. And I get their meetings. And I thought there was supposed to be another one tonight. But oh, fucking Christ. These are the groups that are all for gun safety and saving lives. But when you mention Walk the Talk America or firearms education in schools, yeah, no, fuck that. No, we don't know them. We don't want to do that. And I was trying, God, I'm trying so hard to not just be like, seriously? And that one dude at the end, he just wanted to check out. No, we don't want to talk about that. Let's not talk about a kid speeding. Yeah, it might go on his mom and dad's insurance, but he's responsible for the ticket.
Hey, hold on. Testing the mic.
We'll entertain everybody for a second. I'll be right back.
All right. After that live footage, man, I don't know what to say. That's the type of stuff that just keep pushing. It's like from Canada. After that live footage, man, I don't know what to say. That's the type of stuff that just keep pushing. It's like from Canada. Coop, you're mute.
All right, I'm back. I couldn't even get my headphones to work on the Zoom. It took me forever to get that shit fucking streamed.
You didn't have live footage, by the way. We couldn't even hear your audio. We said, "Fuck it, just let Coop speak. Let them hear. Let's just hear what they have to say."
Oh man, yeah, it's
like it's just like they live in a fucking fantasy, dude. It's like, dude, you don't understand. You can't legislate morality. It's not going to put your problems away in a get basket and be like, "No, we have it. Here you are."
Oh, it was freaking. And of course, they were talking, and I put it in the chat, and it's in the video. Someone could back it up and see it, where they're talking about the stuff. And I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of Walk to Talk America? They're a group that'll help people. And they're like, no, I've never heard of them. Let's put it on the list. Yeah, do it. Because I did the same thing with Giffords, but I lost all the fucking video, which is the reason I did this one live.
Yeah.
Because Giffords was talking the same shit. Yeah, well, what about suicide and guns and all this stuff? And I was like, well, there's this organization, Walk the Talk America, and they'll assist people.
They'll legitimately help you
receive their guns, get you mental health counseling, all that stuff. And they're like, oh, we never heard of them. These people are so fucking tiresome.
And I was just saying, like, you can't change everybody, dude. There's going to be people that are in the far left cultist mindsets. Like, you can't change them.
Oh, they are an absolute cult, man. Absolute cult.
There's some people on the left you can reason with, but the people on the far end, you can't always bring them back. That's on their end. They got to change.
It's freaking horrible.
I've met Democrats, dude, in a lot of
it's freaking. And even when you ask them a logical question, okay, well, they talk about we send this pamphlet home for firearm storage with kids. Okay, well, what about the ones who don't own firearms? Why aren't we educating them in schools? We don't want to do that.
How about have we taught our youngsters to stay away from criminal organizations or gang affiliated groups?
Oh, dude, yeah, I didn't even want to go there. I was headed there when they started talking about, because I asked them about what's her name who just got freaking convicted of 4 counts of manslaughter for the shooting her son did. That's where that part of the conversation came up.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is kind of interesting. These parents are being held accountable for their son's actions, and they're all about that shit. And that's where that whole rabbit hole went.
Here, I can open it further. All right. All right. Just picture this. All right. You got a family. It's not a perfect family. All right. Mother and father, they're living shit. Kids hanging out with the wrong group at school. He brings in home something secretly. It's got a scratched off serial number. Hides in the back of I'd say a bookshelf. All right. And kid actually brings it from home and back from school, and something happens. And are the kids liable for that?
Well, I mean, according to the bullshit that came down in that case where they're trying to make the parents responsible, yeah.
No, but I'm saying that if it's a stolen or scratched off serialized firearm, that's even opens up a whole can of worms right there.
It would still be the kids' actions and the parents. And see, they'd make this deal where, and I said it on there. It was like, look, my parents bought me a 30-30 when I was 16. And that's when they went into, well, they can't, it was a straw purchase. They bought it for the other person. And I told them again, I said, look, I couldn't legally buy a firearm from an FFL at the time, but my parents buying me that gun, I could legally own it.
Yes.
And yeah, they God, I wish you guys got my fucking audio on that. Oh, it makes my head hurt. But yeah, it was like they want to blame everything. Oh, it was a straw purchase. They bought a gun for their kid.
No, that's legal law. That's legal law. You're the guardian you're the firearm, not the kid.
It's freaking. Listen, I told them, I had access to that 30-30 24/7. Now, if I committed a crime with it, that's on me. So it sucks you guys didn't get my audio into that. Oh, that fucking hurts my feels. But anyway, you guys still got to see the stupidity. So there's that. You see how little these people want to talk about actual firearm safety and firearms education and responsibility with firearms. It's all about banning the fucking guns. And that's all they're focused on is the gun itself.
And like I said, you can't reason with some of these people. There's some small cats that are out there that are still curious, and then there's the ones that are far left that just want to ruin people's lives.
But man, if you can teach your kid not to touch hot stoves and all kinds of other shit, look across the street before fucking, you can teach them a lot of things with firearms. They don't have to understand operations and draws and shit like that. They just have to understand this isn't a toy I do not play with.
Yep.
What's up, Ski? Speaking of kids. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
What don't we do with guns?
Play.
Yeah, we don't play with them. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
No, it's actually, Coop, question for you.
Yeah.
Since we're on this pain train ad, you want me to?
That's what I need to call it, the pain train.
Well,
I need to rebrand my whole channel.
Listen, I was just proposing. Remember that video I sent you?
Which one?
It was the one with the the birds and the bees, whatever the hell it's called.
Oh God, I don't even know whether I got to watch that one, man. I got so freaking busy.
If this is gonna piss you off with that live feed, this is even worse, dude.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about, but no, I didn't get to watch it yet. I've been freaking busy lately. I'll tell you what, hold on. Let me do this. And then we'll end the stream.
I mean, this
hey, my SDI virtual graduation is April 6th. Yay for me. Where's that? Should be right here. Oh, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me open it up on my phone. It'll kick it to my history, and then I'll open it up.
Yep, that's a good way to do it. No, dude. Like I said, there's some people can't change, man.
Dude, it's like I've said plenty of times. They're so focused on the guns, they can't see anything else.
No. And not just that, but know this. They're making money off this just by ruining other people's lives.
Money. History. Oh, why is it not in my history? Maybe I'll let it play for another minute.
Oh my God, man. God, dude, just the absolute retardation, man.
Dude, you can't stop the retardation with some folks. You can't. Why is that still not showing up in my history? I'm watching it now. It's playing.
Can you just look up the channel and look up the actual video? That's usually the best way to do it. If YouTube can't play along with you, you gotta just do it the old way.
Hold on, let me do it this way, and it should kick it over. If not, I'll look it up. But I'm
last time.
There it is.
But yeah, what's your thoughts and views on this, dude? Because this has been out for like what, 3-4 years?
Dude, I hadn't looked at all of it yet, so I don't know. What screen share? Nope, it's not a screen share. That's a screen share. Let's see what we got. And I blame Warsaw for this. He's the one that sent it to me. I have not watched it yet. Matter of fact, I'm going to light a cigar. And then we'll watch this, and then we'll get out of here because I wasn't planning on streaming that tonight, but it hit me at the last minute. And I was like, if I got to go through this shit, I might as well share it out with everybody.
Dude, I'm feeling the pain, like what you're going through, all the bullshit, man.
Oh, God, man.
It's like you keep giving them shakes, they keep drinking the shakes, they can't stop drinking
them. Without a doubt.
Sense of the world today. Ask Mr. Jordan to show you the way. On the Birds and the BS.
Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Birds and the BS, where we encourage you to actually take the advice you give your children. Today's letter comes from Allie.
Oh, my God. Before we get out of here, I got to check my IG.
He's always playing with his gum and spitting it on the floor, so I've made a no gum in the house rule. My daughter says she always uses her gum responsibly, so it's still her right to chew. Should I let my daughter keep her gum? Allie, let me use an analogy to help with this one. Imagine for a moment that I am surrounded by people who play with their gun. With these people spitting bullets all over, would my mother still let me keep my gun? Here to answer that question is my...
The answer to that is yes, because I'm not the one spitting gums.
Yep, and
I'm here from live musicals on TV. Anna Gasteyer.
Thank you for having me, Jordan. Sit up straight. You look like sugared.
If I were using my gun the right way, but others weren't, would you still let me keep mine?
Of course not.
But I didn't do anything wrong.
It's a fair point you make. This was not your mistake. I'm a law-abiding son. Why take away my gun? But as a mother in
Did you
charge
bring
of
enough for the
one
class?
of another can ruin it for everyone.
That's because, as you always say,
This is why we can't have nice assault weapons or you know what, guns of any kind. When it comes to our kids, it's time for us to step in instead of think and pray for peace of mind. Government says sacrifices sometimes should be made in the name of the greater good. Someone take.
Okay. Anytime they mention the greater good, run like your hair is fucking on fire.
And who was that, by the way? Which president was that?
Oh, there's been a few.
President Ronald Reagan. Dangerous words out there are the government. I'm here to help you.
Oh yeah, that was. He said it was the most something like the most feared words an American can hear.
Yep.
I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Painted Tylenol, they fixed the flaw. There was one shoe bar, and they changed the law. And when guns kill kids, that's the final.
Second Amendment.
That's exactly what they always do. They shoot us down by invoking the Second Amendment. Don't they understand how much there is to lose? There are lives at stake, and don't forget whose. Nothing's more
It's all about
important
the
than the
kids.
safety of a child.
Pause.
Sometimes to take your guns and the.
Does that also include?
Please tell me at the end of this is satire and he slaps the shit out of her.
I hope it. Wish it was, but no, I was going to point out. Does that also include your children that you're sending overseas and dying for nothing under our presidency right now?
Well, you want to know what happens to kids when a society is disarmed. They get loaded onto trains, they get loaded into gas chambers, or they get shot in the head.
Or
that is what happens.
That, or they. How about the Holocaust, or then the Holodomor? The Holodomor, I was thinking, from Ukraine.
Yeah.
The mass starvation of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Red. I ain't sacrificing nothing. Why? Because when you get rid of all the shit I own, then you have complete control of those that I love. And that ain't happening. Not till my old fat ass is in the ground. And hopefully by then, my kids are well enough trained to where they ain't going to be loaded onto a train either. So fuck y'all. All right, back to propaganda town.
The rhetoric is stockpiled.
Whoa, that's pretty radical. Most of us are against assault weapons, but even we liberals can't go after the Second Amendment itself.
Why not?
I mean, we just don't. It's always, look, we're not saying we're.
Yep, good old gulags.
Now we are.
Wait, really?
This is why we can't have compromise.
I like how they show the NRA right there.
Neat, but sometimes our pastimes
And that's supposed to be Dick Cheney.
matter more than your precious skeet. I understand you really had a ball. Then one lone wolf went and ruined it all. And by one, I mean 96 deaths a day.
So even
People
though there
shooting
are a lot of
themselves,
people who use
bitch.
Guns responsibly, the fun we get to have with them isn't worth the destruction they cause.
Exactly. You know, there's a lot of things we do that with.
Like lawn darts, Sudafed, and the
And notice they never, ever, ever get into defensive gun uses, which far outstrip actual criminal uses of firearms by a magnitude of like fucking 10.
Yep. Also, before we click play, remember 5-6 years ago, since this guy's mentioning what kills children, remember the Tide Pod challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't lecture me about kids and competence and doing stuff wrong. You're the ones pushing that shit on the internet.
That's because if we measure this out to say innocent kids, unintentional deaths, that's less than 150 a year. If you factored in actual people killed in like a mass shooting in a school, that's not even near
doesn't
that.
even scratch the surface.
So the vast majority of your deaths are, guess what? Gang related, drug related, whole 9 yards. And still, Your average poisoning in a home from household chemicals kills more kids. So fuck these people. They're intellectually dishonest at best. They're just lying sacks of shit at this point. Oh, I so didn't ask about school shootings today in the gun violence archive, and I was gonna.
Adopted animals are harder to get than a gun because of the actions of a few.
Exactly.
But safety and guns for protection.
Allow me to issue a logic correction. A gun beneath your pillow makes you feel secure. Till you think your granny's a burglar, then it loses its allure. They say a good guy with a gun could stop a bad guy with a gun.
Yes, Blades.
But neither has to die if neither one has one.
I only wonder how these men will find their sense of
Pause on
self-worth
that.
and masculinity without their pew
Give me a
pew.
sec, because I'm trying not to puke on my tongue. Yeah.
I just find it very disturbing and funny that they had to show the cop without a sidearm. I mean, that's the type of shit they try doing in Europe.
Neither one has to die if they don't have one. Like, nobody's going to kill with a knife, hands, feet, cars, baseball bats, you name it. Fucking sharp sticks.
I mean, if you're a cop or the average law enforcement officer, and what good are you if you don't have a sidearm?
Well, the UK's figured out not very much.
Oh yeah, and how many killings have been used by knives? Hell, how many knife stabbings happen in the United States that don't get covered by the news?
Well, that's because one of your biggest weapons that someone would use, especially like in a domestic dispute, is a kitchen knife.
And they're silent. They're rarely silent.
Hey, man against the masses. That's all we're here for, is to piss you guys off.
I mean, hell, it takes a piece of metal. You can just take it to the concrete floor and just grind it down, and there you are.
Hey,
You just made a knife.
and this is, and I had this argument with some bitch on Twitter the other night. Oh, these guns, and there wouldn't be all this going on if there weren't guns. Lady, look up how many rapes, murders, and robberies and extortion and all that happens in prisons where there are no guns. The rape statistics for men in prison is absolutely astounding. There's no guns. There is just bigger people and more people versus smaller people with less people. And guess what happens? The bigger people with more people rape the shit out of the small people with less people and murder them and extort them and do all kinds of shit. Rob them.
Yep.
At that point, just fucking kill me, okay? Just let's get this over with. But yeah, since your Warsaw, I blame this on you.
Who we are as a country should be safe for every Australian stay put after their overhaul.
So if you're a macho prick, you can stay one after all. Take us home.
This is why we can't have.
Why are they always worried about our dicks?
This is why we can't have dummy leaders. This is why we can't have not nice things. And when the government needs to be overthrown, get your ass out and vote, because we can't do this alone.
That's all for today, folks. Allie, tell your daughter she can play with her bazooka gum all she wants, as long as she joins the March for Our Lives. And join us next time when we'll send our thoughts and prayers to
Okay, we can't end this stream there, or I will go absolutely fucking bonkers. We're gonna watch something else. Let me see. It's gonna be another screen share. Let me get rid of that. We're gonna watch something else. Now it's still gonna be amazingly mind numbing for some of it, but let's see.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
How
really
do I
it's
get
just,
to my fucking bookmarks on here?
it's astonishing. I used to believe all this crap when I was a kid.
How do I get to my bookmarks on X?
Where you going, X?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do I get to my bookmarks? I bookmark shit. How do I get to my bookmarks? I honestly don't treat this thing serious enough to actually know how to do everything on it. Hold on. Let me see what I can find it this way. So Virginia the other day, they passed it through the one committee in the House, their ghost gun ban. Before they did that, Brother John Lott actually testified to the people trying to pass that bill. And that's what I want to find.
It's going to be the oral arguments in the court.
No, it's actually him testifying to that committee.
Uh,
Like I said, I had it bookmarked. I can't remember how to get to my bookmarks. One of these days, I might give a shit about this. Beside it, for the most part, it was just a hate account. Okay, here we go. Yeah, for the most part, my ex account has just been a hate account where I just followed people that I completely disagreed with and broke their balls. And I finally decided to start using it for the greater good and actually trying to do something with it.
So, in other words, you're just following up on your enemies.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all my account was an absolute hate account. But let's listen to this.
Yeah. Crime prevention research.
Oh, I know this guy.
Yeah, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the chance to address the chair, Senator Sears, and the other members of the committee.
That's awesome.
From Montana right now, Missoula, Montana. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I was recently senior advisor for research and statistics in the U.S. Department of Justice. I was previously chief economist for the United States Sentencing Commission. And I've had research and teaching positions at the Wharton Business School, Stanford, Yale, University of Chicago, and Rice and UCLA. I'm here to talk about Senate Bill 209. Homemade guns have existed in Vermont and the rest of the country since even before the United States became a country. And it's already a federal crime for somebody to transfer a homemade firearm. The recent push for serial numbers on all parts of guns relies on claims that it protects public safety and prevents violent crime. The current Solicitor General, Elizabeth Prelogar, wrote in a 2023 court filing, quote, "The public safety interests in reversing the flow of ghost guns to dangerous and otherwise prohibited people easily outweighs the minor costs that respondents will incur." Similarly, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland claimed in 2022 it will help ensure that law enforcement officers can retrieve the information they need to solve crimes, and it will help reduce the number of untraceable firearms flooding our communities. The expanded use of serial numbers aims at stopping the production of homemade guns, now called ghost guns. While homemade guns have been around since the United States became a country, and before that, it's never been terribly difficult to make a gun with simple machine tools. Their production has become nearly impossible to regulate, however, with the advent of 3D printers. People can just make indistinguishable weapons from those purchased in stores. But even if homemade guns had serial numbers, they don't help solve crimes in the way that you see on TV shows like Law and Order. In theory, if criminals leave registered guns at a crime scene, law enforcement can use serial numbers to trace the weapons back to the perpetrators. But in real life, guns are only left at a scene of a crime when a gunman had been seriously injured or killed, with both the criminal and weapon present at the scene. In a few cases, when the gun's left at the scene and the criminals aren't there, they're usually not registered. And in the couple of cases where they are registered, they're not registered to the person who committed the crime. Police in Hawaii, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and New York have had.
Yeah, let's see if I can pause this without losing everything. But yeah, the whole thing's insane. They want all these parts serialized. What a lot of these firearms would have like 30 something parts, 40 something, if not more. Serialize a freaking D10 on an AR. I goddamn dare you.
How about a spring guide rod for a Glock?
Yeah.
Like how are you supposed to serialize a spring guide? It's a thin ass little piece of metal.
And see, this is for him. I mean, you got to watch this, and you got to hear the questions these idiots are asking him. Because what John is saying is one, the only crimes that get solved by serial numbers are someone is caught with a gun with a serial number, and they can track that back to a theft.
And also,
they can't
yeah.
tell whether he shot anybody with that gun unless they match ballistics
to a crime that was related to that.
Yes. And then let's be honest, I can take the serial number off a gun with a fucking rock out of the parking lot. So the serial number itself in the firearm, these motherfuckers act like that serial number is engraved in there by goddamn Gandalf and can't be removed. Most of the fucking ghost guns they find are guns that have the serial numbers scraped the fuck off of them.
And guess what? Most of the time, those serial numbers that are actually ravaged or scratched off, sometimes they're actually lucky to even get the number off that thing because it uses the chemicals to actually get the prints off it.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking crazy. All right. DB, what's up, my brother? DB, you'd have to go back to the front of this stream to figure out what was up. I promise you, it'd go about halfway through that, and it's worth your time. We were on a live chat with Brady gun control group. Let that sink in. Anyway, let me let this play. I'm trying to make something for my daughter real fast. I'll be in and out for a minute.
Registration systems in place for decades, but can't point to any crimes that this has helped solve. Even entire countries such as Canada haven't had success. In a 2001 lawsuit, the Pennsylvania State Police could not identify any crime solved by the registration system between 1901 and 2001. However, they did claim that it had, quote unquote, assisted in 4 cases for which they could not provide details. In a 2013 deposition for District of Columbia v. Heller 2, the plaintiffs recorded that the Washington, D.C. police chief could not, quote, recall any specific instances where registration records were used to determine who committed a crime except for possession offenses, end quote. During testimony before the Hawaii State Senate in 2000, Honolulu's police chief said that he could not identify any crimes since 1960 when registration and licensing were started that were able to solve crimes. The police chief also said that his officers devoted about 50,000 hours of their time each year to register and licensing guns yearly. Police time that could have been spent on traditional time testing law enforcement activities. I could go through similar records that exist for Canada.
Pre-86, they did
New York
have
and Maryland spent tens of millions of dollars compiling a computer database containing the unique ballistic fingerprints, several serial numbers, and names of gun owners for each new gun sold in those states over 15-year periods of time. Even these states, which strongly favor gun control, eventually abolished their systems because they could not point to one single crime that it had solved. Despite predictions by gun control advocates that this program would be important crime-fighting tools, New York scrapped its program in 2012. In 2015, Maryland followed suit. Maryland spent $5 million just on the computerization of the database that was there. New York spent a total of over $45 million on their project. It was pretty clear from the beginning that these weren't working out well before the 15 years was up. In a 2005 report by the Maryland State Police Forensics Sciences Division labeled the operation, quote, ineffective and expensive. I could go on, but the bottom line is that these policies haven't produced any crime reducing benefits. And I think the main reason why they're pushed is that when you have serialization, it's eventually possible to go and confiscate guns. But I'm happy to take any questions from you, and I appreciate your time.
Excuse me, Senator Baruch. Thank you, Mr. Lott. So if I'm understanding your argument, you're saying that serialization is expensive and ineffective, as you said. So if we stipulate that, there is another, what I think important piece to this, which is that if a ghost gun is taken in to have a serial number put on it, there's also a background check run. So that's another arm of this, is to try to bring the background check system into focus for these weapons. Do you have an argument about that? Because I don't think you've mentioned it.
Right, no, I did not address that, that's correct. The issue, I guess, would be if the individual has a ghost gun to begin with, and you won't know whether he has a ghost gun or not. You know, is he the type of person then that you're going to be able to use to trace the gun back to him if he uses it in a crime? And I think that is relevant to what I've been saying beforehand. I mean, I suppose if the police are at the person's home and they find that he has the gun, or they, you know, he's carrying the gun around, and they go and they examine the gun to see whether or not it has a serial number, and it doesn't have one at that point, then they could arrest him for possession of a gun. I think that those are relatively low probability events, but you know, it's still possible, as you say, that that could be the case. But in terms of actually solving crimes, I think the arguments that I was making still apply to those.
Oh, and I hear what you're saying. Solving crimes is definitely one thing. The other thing is trying to prevent guns from being in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. And so the whole background system is designed to do that. If we have people printing guns in their family room, obviously it's a complete evasion of that system. So this bill has a piece of it that brings that system to bear, understanding what you're saying, that it might be a relatively low probability event that you could stop that person or catch that person committing a crime, but you could certainly catch them with the background system if for other reasons they're not supposed to have a weapon.
But they're not going to, right, I understand. I guess the question is, if it's somebody who's planning on using the gun in the crime, and obviously they don't, or they have a criminal record and they're not going to go through the background check, how are you going to find that they have the gun at home? Are you going to go?
This is the argument that we have over every piece of gun safety legislation, which is that criminals won't abide by it, law-abiding people will, therefore you'll never catch the criminals. But obviously people who put forward the gun safety legislation believe that what we're doing is eventually creating a more law-abiding culture where people abide by the background checks. Even most gun owners say should not have guns. So that was my question. I appreciate your answers, and I'll turn it over to the others.
Senator Bohowski, Senator Steers.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm wondering if you can explain the peer review process that you use for your data and what process that goes through before it's put out to us or brought to us.
Sure. Well, I mean, I talk about these issues of licensing and registration in my book, More Guns, Less Crime, which was published by the University of Chicago Press. I went through 3 editions, 1998, 2000, and 2010. In each of those editions, the University of Chicago Press sent the book out for peer review, anonymous peer review from other academics. In the 3rd edition, I know they sent it out to 6 different academics to go and do a review of the book. And we had to go through the process where I responded to their comments. They sent it back to the referees. The referees agreed that I had dealt with their concerns, and then the book was published. So that's kind of the normal way that that peer review works on these things.
And so that was more than 20 years ago. Do you have current academic research in academic publications?
Yeah, of course I do. But I'm just saying, I'm giving an example. My book was published, it's not 20 years ago, it was 2010. was the third edition of the book.
Okay.
The examples that I've just gone through in terms of licensing and registration, whether it be, Hawaii or Pennsylvania or some of these other states are more recent. But yeah, I know I've published over 120 articles in peer-reviewed journals. And as I say, I've had academic positions at a wide range of universities. And of course, more recently, as of 2020 and 2021, I was working in the Department of Justice as senior advisor for research and statistics in both the Office of Justice Programs and then the Office of Legal Policy.
Okay, great, thank you. My other question was, so you draw a correlation between the laws in Canada and the lack of evidence for serialization solving crimes, but do you agree that empirically Canada has stricter gun regulations and a significantly lower rate of violence and gun crime?
They had even lower crime rates before they had their gun control laws. So yes, they do have lower crime rates, at least in terms of murder, than the United States, though in terms of other violent crime rates, Canada does have a higher, if you add rapes, aggravated assaults, and robberies, Canada has higher rates of those violent crimes than the United States does, and they had those to begin with. But if you look over time, Canada's violent crime rate as a whole went up after they passed their gun control law.
Yes, here's an interesting facts, kids. What did Forrest Gump say? It's an interesting fact. Okay, if you have less guns and less people in an country, you will have less crimes committed with a gun. It doesn't mean the proportion of your violent crime is going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
See, in America, we have a lot less other violent crime because people can do what? They can fucking defend themselves, but we do have more gun crime because we have more guns and more people.
Yep. And also, no foreign country or adversary is trying to invade us right now.
Yeah.
Also want to point out, what John Lott is actually speaking on is actually fact. If you actually subscribe to the CCFR, which is Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights, they're up in Canada.
Yeah.
They actually are dealing with all the legislation under Trudeau, even before they even said, before the gun legislation, they had zero crime. When the legislation went forward and it actually became a law, their crime statistics went up straight up the ass.
Yep.
Mind you, this is a country that has rifles for 5 rounds, and handguns are heavily restricted, and you have to contact a local police department to actually travel from your house to the gun range.
Their crime rates didn't actually start to rise. Their violent crime rates didn't actually start to rise until they started banning guns, and then the violent crime rates started to rise.
Yep. And also, let's keep in mind, Canada does not have a Second Amendment. It's a privilege under the Canadian government to watch over you.
Yes.
Laws, including
but that is a correlation. That is not causation.
The mask lady.
No, but look, there are very few academics that make purely cross-sectional comparisons. What you want to try to do is to look over time to see how crime rates change before and after they have their gun control laws.
And
there are many other things that can change. And you don't want to look at one place. One of the reasons why most of the world uses U.S. data when they're looking at things is that we have 51 different laboratories. And so hopefully you have enough different states change their laws in enough different years that you can begin to disentangle all the different factors that are there. You can't have more tests. You can't account for more factors than you have tests that you're going to be looking at. But, if you look at my book, More Guns, Less Crime, for example, I look at like 5 different qualitative tests. And while it's possible that somebody may come up with an explanation for one of the tests that are there, that some factor was left out, as you have more and more different types of evidence, it becomes more and more difficult to try to figure out what other factor might be explaining the changes that you're looking at there. The vast majority of academic papers only look at one test that's there. It's one of the reasons why I look at 5 different types of tests.
Yeah, John Lott. For you guys who don't know John Lott, I would love to be able to interview this dude, just sit down and have a conversation with him. I promise I will do it as professionally as I can, and I can be professional. But just to talk to this dude, he's basically almost like an economist. He's excellent with numbers and breaking things down into categories. So when they feed him a bunch of data, John breaks it down. This is it. All right, all that fits in that category. This is this. All that fits in that category. And he breaks these numbers all the way down. He doesn't just give you percentages. He gives you the whole number. He gives you the percentages of it, and then he gives you a breakdown. He smashes every gun control argument that there ever has been or will be, because he breaks things down into their lowest components and then deals with the information from there. So if you're not following John Lott, if you're not following the gun violence, is it? Oh, I have to pull up. But if you're not following, if you just look up John Lott Jr., he's the dude who wrote the book More Guns, Less Crime. It's been updated many years, many times, and it still proves true.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I have a couple of questions. But first, I want to describe where I live. I live in the southwest corner of Vermont, very close to Albany, New York. For some reason, the southwest corner of Vermont has seen an increase in police recovering so-called ghost guns.
And again, and this is something with this hearing, and John may not have thought about it. How many of those guns recovered were actually home-built firearms versus firearms that had their serial numbers removed or destroyed?
Yep, and they're technically that's a crime gun that was actually turned into a so-called ghost gun.
Yes, and that doesn't come up in a lot of these where they actually talk about, hey, this gun originally had a serial number. Someone just destroyed the serial number so they couldn't catalog the serial number, so they called it a ghost gun.
I mean, Coop, what was it? Remember that video we saw in the Philippines where it was some Californian gang that actually bought a 1911 all the way from Philippines that was homemade?
Yeah.
It just proves that it doesn't matter if they get it here in the States or not. You get it from foreign countries.
These dudes in the Philippines are taking a cardboard cutout of a frame, tracing it out on a piece of metal, and then doing all the work by hand with files and maybe a drill and making the frame. And they do the same with a slide, and they make perfectly functioning guns out of nothing but bar stock and flat steel. So
the logic of those people.
It's fucking, they have it's NPC logic, man. They got an update years ago about guns bad, and then they just keep regurgitating that shit.
Much more so than anywhere else in the state. Matter of fact, Rutland and Dixon counties are the 2 highest. And it's inexplicable to me why we would be there. So I was kind of speculating, well,
guess
maybe
what's big in New York?
Licensed firearm dealers are doing a better job of stopping straw purchases of firearms, which is forcing the drug cartel. I use that term for real. I mean, they're in business.
Right? Yes, what's happening
here? So my speculation is that maybe the RFSLs are doing a better job than other parts of the
Too many
state,
choices.
which
What's
is
up?
forcing the straw purchases to go away. Is there any basis on that?
No, there's no basis whatsoever.
Well, I don't know how the drug problem compares across different places in Vermont. I guess my research and training over the years seem to indicate to me how very difficult it is to go and stop drug gangs from getting a hold of weapons. If you stop them in one way, they'll go and find some other way to go and obtain it.
Just what I said.
Drug gangs have very valuable property that's there.
Yeah.
And, it's not like they can go and contact the police to go and say, somebody stole our drugs, this other gang stole our drugs, can you help us get them back? They have to essentially set up their own little militaries in order to protect that very valuable property. And you look, if I could click my fingers and cause all guns in the United States to disappear and all illegal drugs, how quickly would illegal drugs start coming back into the United States? My guess is if you live in El Paso, 20 minutes. And how long would it be before they bring in weapons to protect that valuable property? I assume they'd be bringing it at the same time. I mean, you can look at a country like Mexico, for example, which has had only one gun store in the country since 1972, run by the military. The most powerful gun that you can legally buy in Mexico is a 22 caliber short round bolt action rifle. That's not the type of gun that drug gangs use down there. Mexico, even though you have less than 1/10 of 1% of the adult population that's legally licensed to own a gun in Mexico, and yet Mexico's murder rate's more than doubled since 1972. And in many recent years, Mexico's murder rate's been as high as 6 times higher than the murder rate that we have here in the United States. And it's not because of ghost guns or anything else that they have there. It's just that they bring in weapons from around the world, literally, just as they bring in the drugs from around the world that they then export to the United States. So, I wish it was a simple problem to go and stop drug gangs from going and getting a hold of illegal guns. But, if you want to go and explain kind of the behavior of drug gangs over time and the amount of violence that they do, it's basically related to changing profitability for selling drugs. As profitability increases at certain points in time, you're going to see more drug gang violence and more efforts to go and get weapons because more is at stake. And so drug gangs will fight against each other, for example, in order to try to control drug trade. It's a difficult problem. You have to figure out ways to take out the profitability for drug gangs there if you're ultimately going to stop them from obtaining weapons in one way or another.
Thank you. Senator Norris and Senator Sheehan, and then Senator Bowski, and then we take a break.
All right.
I'm all for a break. Thank you, Dr. Locke, for being here. A couple of things, and maybe I missed it. We were comparing Canada to the United States, so on and so forth. And I don't know if the question was posed in a way of per capita basis, whatever else, but Canada is obviously just shy of 40 million people, and the United States is just shy of 340 million people. So I guess that would make sense. We have more crime in the United States based on population, unless we're looking at it on a per capita basis. But anyways, in reference to
You're mixing up a bunch of different percentages there, jackass. So fuck off.
What I'm hearing is, and I have a second part to this question, I might add. So what I'm hearing is the serialization of guns doesn't prevent crime. The only crime that is incurred upon police responding to this is either a defaced serial number or a firearm doesn't have a serial number on it. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, just to answer your first point also, all the discussion that we were having before is on per capita rates of crime.
A legend.
Thank you.
But that's correct.
And my last question would be, because I don't know the answer to this. I know the kits that are put together and mailed out, whatever, are one thing. The 3D figurations of people putting guns together in their house or whatever else, are those?
And see, John, I'm going to warn you about the argument whatever. Fucking forgive me. John goes into metal 3D printing here. Now, metal 3D printers are exceptionally fucking expensive. But your average printer, like my little printer back there, I can do frames and shit. And when I print that frame out, that frame is considered a firearm. I have to add all the shit to it to make it actually work like a actual. Well, I can't even show you that because that's a polymer 80 built. I can't say factory built because that's not. But it will function like any, manufactured firearm, I should say. And John goes into the metal printing. He should have busted the balls about that and been like, could make the fucking lower out of wood if you needed to.
particular guns, do they have rifling in them?
Oh, yeah, sure they can. I mean, you can make a 3D metal printed gun that is functionally and cosmetically identical to any gun that you can go and buy in a store.
So crime is more apt to be solved by ballistics through rifling from a firearm than it is
On the
from
bullet
non-sterilization of the firearm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what the FBI does. Obviously, what you do is if you have the bullet at the crime scene, you're not going to have the gun, as you point out. You may arrest the person at some later date for some other type of crime, and if you have confiscate the gun at that time, hopefully you can begin to link bullets that you have in your inventory there with the gun that you may confiscate at the crime.
Okay, let's stop this for just a second. That's a good point that he's making right there. And it's kind of some people might miss it. But yes, if I suspect someone of a murder and the person was shot with a 9mm handgun, and they have a 9mm handgun on them when I arrest them, it doesn't mean that was the gun used in the killing. I have to match characteristics of the rifling from the barrel, the strike from the firing pin on the primer, any kind of discontinuities in the chamber. There's a bunch of shit I have to match up to prove that that was the gun used in that crime, and the serial number ain't anywhere in there. It doesn't matter.
Yep. I mean, Coop.
Fuck these people.
Yeah, Coop. I also want to point out, have you ever seen investigative shows? Where they actually solve a crime.
Yeah.
What was it? CSI actually covers that, and some other places.
Oh God! Don't make me beat my head into my desk.
Anyways, I'm trying to prove a point. The best way they do to actually solve a crime, like say somebody was shot with a pistol and they think this is the same gun. Like you said, there's no serialization from bullet to a handgun. No. So what they do is they actually grab the bullet out of the person's body. They grab the handgun, and they also look under a microscope and see if the rifling bore is actually exactly the same from the bullet.
They match the rifling. They match the twist of the rifling. They'll match if they get a casing, they'll match the primer strike on the casing. Get into the real minute details of it, whether this firing pin had a little mark on it or something like that, where someone took it apart and damaged it a little bit, but it still worked. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into that.
Same powder residue.
Yeah, but the actual serial number on the firearm, that is only useful if you arrest someone for a crime and they have a firearm and you research the firearm and that serial number was reported stolen.
Yep.
That's the only time serial numbers come in, or you go, well, this person had this gun, and you track a serial number and it goes back to the purchaser, the original purchaser of the gun. Fucking serial numbers do not solve violent crimes, and that's what John Lott's getting at right here. It doesn't matter whether I shoot you with a fucking ghost gun like this. I don't have anything serialized right next to me. Actually, I do. This is a serialized lower. So if I shoot you with that, it doesn't matter. The serial numbers don't even come into play.
How about knives? Like, how many knives you see with a serial number engraved on them?
Yeah. It's not like when I punch someone with a knife, it engraves a serial number into the tissue. Fuck these goddamn people. And this dumbass he's going to talk to, I think it's in a minute. I don't think it happened already. He worked for the state police, and I solve crimes according to serial numbers. And we tracked this back to this person. Yes, all you did was track to where the gun came from. You didn't solve the crime, the violent crime. All you did was said, this gun was reported stolen and had this serial number, and this person was too stupid to scratch it off, so we figured out this person may have stolen it from this person. That's all you solved. Make the pain stop. What about serial numbers on the projectile? Dude, there are bills. I'll have to look them up. There have been some actually federal bills that wanted the micro stamping to where it would stamp a serial number on the primer, the brass, and the projectile. California has that. That's part of their handgun roster shit.
Massachusetts did it. Connecticut, I think, tried doing it. Pennsylvania actually last year tried doing it.
Yeah,
the thing is,
fucking insanity.
No, here's the thing: if they even did, the problem is the actual, micro stamp primer. That's just gonna get deformed for a period of time when you keep shooting, so it won't fucking matter.
What do I do if I'm a criminal? I know my firing pin will stamp a number on my primer. I take my firing pin out of the gun and I rub it on a rock. I damage the serial number and I put it back in my gun, and then it goes. If it's in my chamber, because some talk about brass expansion in the chamber, the obturation, and it expands in the chamber, and it would stamp a serial number. Okay, well, all I have to do is polish my chamber, and then that's done. Well, what about the projectile? Well, the projectile is going to be damaged so bad in most cases, you're not going to get it. But also, if you have the projectile and I damage the serial number on the gun, guess what you don't have? A fucking match. So, all these people, I swear to God, they live in an alternate reality.
It's just insane that they think this is going to work and it doesn't do jack shit.
We live in the fucking Matrix, dude. I swear to God, we live in the Matrix.
No, we're getting close to all land, is what I'm saying.
We opened up our eyes. We got woke up. We did our shit. We got unplugged from the machine. We're trying to spread the truth, and we're talking to nothing but fucking batteries. What are you? I'm a D cell. Oh, well, fuck me running. What are you? I'm a AA. I can obviously see that.
Are you AAA?
AAA. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's probably why you're worried about my dick every time I mention guns. It just gets horrible. MC, what's up, my brother?
Sounds like a lot of hoopla.
Oh, dude. Yeah, let's get back into this. We're going to finish watching this, and then I got to get out of here.
Or from the criminal.
Thank you. Kamala Harris passed. Yeah.
Senator,
thanks. Yeah, I guess just a general comment. I don't know what's happening in these other police departments where the serial numbers are never being used to resolve crime. I mean, I'm thinking back to 2018, literally one of the final arrests that I ever made was a seizure of a little under, I believe, 10 grand worth of stolen firearms. Serial numbers were essential in resolving that crime. So, and I'm sure plenty of my former colleagues have also used serial numbers in resolving crimes. I mean, I'm not going to speak for them, but just speaking on my own experience of from about 5 years ago.
Corn Pop, what's up, my brother?
Awesome, thanks. My question, I just wanted to clarify.
Dr.
Sorry.
Comment on Senator Sheems. Senator Sheems, a former state trooper in Vermont.
Yes, no, I'm familiar with the senator. I appreciate his comment. The question is what crime are you solving? If the person uses a gun in a crime, and again, we separate out the ballistic issues that Senator Norris was bringing up beforehand. So I catch the criminal. He has drugs on him, let's say, and he has a gun that he's used in some previous crime. The serial number is not going to link you to that crime that the person had committed with the gun. I don't know how it does that. Now, maybe the serial number, you can go then and trace it to see who sold the gun originally to them. But that's different than solving a crime that's there. And, what you generally find, even in tracing it back to the original dealer that's there, is not going to, the person probably sold the gun originally legally. So you have a real problem there. The serial number is not going to help you solve a crime that the person committed at another point in time with the gun.
I disagree. I saw.
Well, I just logically tell me exactly how. Okay, so I pick up a guy. I pulled him over for a traffic stop. He has a gun. It has a serial number on it, and 3 months earlier he shot somebody with the gun. Other than looking at ballistics, how does the serial number there help you solve that earlier crime?
I don't understand your question.
You don't understand the question, you douchebag, because it's a logical question. That's why you don't understand it. You're an absolute NPC. You're a non-playable character. You got an update about guns being bad, and that's all you want to say. But logically, this person could have stolen 10 guns at the same time he stole that one gun. He could have gone on a run and stole multiple guns that night. So there were multiple guns that were stolen that night. There was one gun used in the crime. 9mm is the most popular caliber you're going to find in handguns most of the time. Oh, so-and-so got shot with a 9mm handgun. How do you track that bullet back to the actual gun? It's not the serial number.
I'm just saying, give me a concrete explanation for how the serial number actually helps you solve earlier crimes that the person
My
committed with
channel
the
is
gun.
basically made on pain.
Sure.
You didn't leave the gun at the crime scene. You don't know that that gun was
question
used
because
at the
you keep
crime
interrupting
scene.
me. You go ahead and finish your statement, but I'm done. So thank you.
Yeah, you're done because you have no argument.
I was finished.
Yeah, so I'll finish.
Yeah.
The gun that was found in possession of somebody who stole it from somebody else is traced back through the serial number, which proves that the other person reported that gun stolen and the serial number. Wouldn't that solve the crime?
No.
Right. Where illegal possession of a gun.
We don't know if the gun was used in a commission of a shooting, but we know that the gun was stolen.
You're admitting
the
you're
serial
arguing.
number proves the gun was stolen because the person reported, let's say the FSL reported these 10 firearms were stolen. These are the serial numbers. Senator Hashim has
That's absolutely unconstitutional.
Firearms, the serial numbers match proves that this guy stole.
Right. And when I went through the things, I said possession was the one type of crime that they had been able to solve. And those were, even those were a small number of cases, but for a couple of the places, there were possession type crimes, which is what you're referring to there, that were able to be solved. But there's two different categories. There's actually use of the gun in a crime, and that's like never successful in solving those. And then possession through theft,
Virginia,
those we
which
can,
is has
but even those are rare.
passed their ghost gun bill through their committee the other day. And I think through the House, so it's going to the Senate.
I'm going to get into a real problem here by saying something that I probably shouldn't say, but I still don't understand why people are opposing this bill. I think this is the simplest bill I've ever introduced in terms of anything to do with firearms, much simpler than red flag laws and others. And I know I get in trouble for that, but good Lord. I can print this, if I can print up a firearm and nobody can trace the serial number, it makes it much more difficult. So I don't understand.
You want to know why people oppose your bill, jackasses? Because plenty of us build guns like this, which is unserialized. It's a home-built firearm. I carry it every day for my self-defense gun. Inevitably, I'm going to run into a bunch of dumbasses, cops, whatever, get pulled over, and they're going to wonder, hey, why doesn't this gun have a serial number? Well, because it doesn't have to. It's a privately built firearm. The only people legally required to serialize a firearm are federally registered manufacturers or importers. And again, you can't connect that serial number to the bullet or the crime itself. It's not like I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to commit this crime. Let me register the serial number of my gun before I commit this crime, and I'll write that shit down. I'll send it in. That way you guys got the serial number of the gun I'm going to commit this crime with, and then I'll commit the crime. And hey, by the way, I'll leave the gun with you. MC, you're right. It's pure laziness of logic. It really is. It is. It is the lowest common denominator that gets voted into political offices.
Yeah. Coop, I sent you the 2 videos. At the end of this, I would like to show them how difficult it is to even get a serial number that's scratched off, like get prints off them after they've been used.
We'll do that on another one, bro, because we're going to finish this and then I got to bounce.
That's fine. That's fine. I just started off
I don't think my brain can take too much more. I've been on a meeting with Brady. You sons of bitches ought to be giving me a medal right now.
Problem is, but anyway, Senator Wahowski.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, because my
mass
brain was
lady's back.
processing all the information earlier. Was your testimony that rates are higher in Canada than in the United
Violent
States?
crime rates are, yes.
Homicide
Also,
rates
it's
are
illegal to
lower,
defend yourself
much
up
lower
there.
in Canada, but overall violent crime rates are higher in Canada. If you look at the International Crime Victimization Survey, the overall violent crime rate in Canada is about 50% higher than the overall violent crime rate in the United States. So that's going to be rape, robbery, and aggravated assaults.
Because I'm looking at international data that shows that the rape rate in Canada is in fact 23 times lower than in the United States. So I guess we're back to our data issue, that the data seems
Where's
to
my
be
hammer?
kind of all
I need my
over
hammer.
the
I'm
place.
gonna
So thank you for clarifying that for me.
All violent crime. Yes, Monkey. I had to censor that. My child walked in the room.
Maybe if you take off that goddamn mask, you can hear better.
Hey,
Dr. Lott, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're in Montana today.
Right.
Correct?
Yes, correct, sir.
Well, thank you for joining us early then.
All right.
There's a time difference in Montana, and
Gabbard,
hopefully
you buy
get
me
to
a
see
Bud
the
Light,
sun.
I'm
We haven't
shoving it
seen
in
the
your
sun in
ass
8
sideways.
8 days come on.
Well,
Hopefully we get to see the sun today.
Better hope it's a
yeah, it's
pony
supposed to be
beer.
up into the 50s today and clear. So, but anyway, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Bye now. So we're going to take.
Okay. So, yeah, that's done. And remember, he testified a couple days before Virginia passed this freaking ghost gun shit through the House, and that shit's going to the Senate. So, Virginia, you can expect a big one of these coming, because they have Democratic control of everything. And I'll have to look, but I'm pretty damn sure that the governor may be able to veto it. But I think they have a veto-proof majority to where they can just pass it anyway. I'll have to look and make sure. But yeah. Fun fact: Virginia also passed out another bill to get around the PLACA laws. So, in other words, and they haven't passed it all the way through yet. It just went through the House to where if someone commits a crime with a Glock or a SIG or whatever, that someone who is supposed to be a victim of it can sue the gun manufacturer and the seller. So yeah, that's going to be another fun one coming up.
Like I said, Coop, we gotta get Jim Jordan involved. This is getting ridiculous and out of hand.
Oh, dude, I have started tagging him in a lot of posts on X.
Yeah, everybody in the site
What was-
just needs to do the same thing.
Let me see if I can bring up a couple of them. I tagged them on one not too long back. If I can figure out X and get to where
Here, you know what? Screw it. I'm actually gonna get his page actually.
I said I'm still. There's been a lot of shit about Kyle Rittenhouse I've been posting on, so there's a ton of shit in front of it.
My God, and that's exactly what they're doing up in Michigan. They're literally turning that woman into Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, dude, yeah, and it's house. Hold on, it's house weaponization of the government. It should have been around there.
Here, I put contact Jim Jordan's officer there.
That was that. I didn't think it was a reply. It was, or maybe it was a reply. Anyway, anything like that, I'm tagging Jim Jordan in. Let me look. That's everything about Kyle Rittenhouse. Some more shit about Kyle Rittenhouse. That was hitting below the belt post. That was Carlos or Costos. Moros. Yeah, if you can't follow him, you need to follow him. Armed attorneys. Couple of funny memes. Come on, you should be right here somewhere. Because it was this afternoon. Or was it yesterday? It may have been yesterday. I might be getting my day. It may have been yesterday. When they had the hearing on the weaponization of government. Yeah, it had been yesterday. And I have started on a letter to Jim Jordan. I've got the first little bit of it half-assed decent, and I've got to get to the rest of it. And I'll be sending that on.
I'm trying to name his name. He was on Crump Stream a couple times. I've seen him. Back in 2013, he was arrested because he was just carrying his AR with his son out in public. In Texas.
Oh yeah, that dude, he got thrown over the hood of the car on that one.
Yeah.
He started that. He started a Texas group after that.
Yeah, but I think he needs to get on this as well. I mean, the bigger the group, the better and more people know about it.
Well, the thing is, we just need to get the word out, man. All of us know, a few people here and there, and all of those people know other people, and we need to spread it. That's the grassroots kind of stuff. Let me see. Where in my Orcus? Okay, let me show this real fast. And then I'm out of here. Screen share, Twitter. Here we go. So yeah, Jim Jordan, it was about the hearing on the weaponization of government. I posted this. This is great, Jim Jordan. Now let's get a hearing with federal judges that refuse to follow the Constitution and Second Amendment cases. People are going to prison. The ATF is running wild, and these federal judges are refusing to follow the directions from SCOTUS. We need them in a hearing.
Who's this? Nathan Stitson?
What? Oh, you're talking about the dude below that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comments of his.
When I follow, it was damn. Oh, there's talk about the organizations destroying the federal or destroying government and our rights and shit. Yeah, that was another one. But these dudes, and it seems retarded because it's on social media, but these people follow social media so much. That social media sometimes can actually work for us.
Hopefully,
if we put enough pressure on them. But we got to have enough people to put the pressure, because if it's 3 down votes and 4 billion up votes, then we have no pressure there.
Like I said, we just need as many people as possible, and I think if we got John Crump or God knows how many other people out there could actually get Jim Jordan's actions on.
I tagged Maj Toure because Maj Toure had a post the other day with him and Jim Jordan, and I did a long thing in his post about what we need to do. We need to get these guys called to the carpet, answering questions, and there need to be impeachment hearings for these sons of bitches. There needs to be. Because until there's negative consequences, they're going to keep doing the same shit.
You know what? And actually, Coop, Jim Jordan has an email, doesn't he?
Yeah, all you got to do.
No. The reason why I asked, because you got all the oral arguments of the courts rebelling, right?
I've probably got a lot of them.
Well, why don't you send those bitches up to Jim Jordan and just, hey, say, Jim Jordan, I'm sending you these, and you better listen to each and every one of them.
Oh, well, this, yeah, I could tell him that all day long, but like him going to listen to it's going to be a. So,
Well, whether he likes it or hear it or not, I mean, look at our border. I mean, I think he's really pissed off about that too.
Copy. So here is Jim's congressional email address, which all his staffers are reading the shit, but that's his email address for Congress. It's not like his personal email address. I don't know the dude. If I did, I'd have him on stream tonight cussing him out. But yeah, that's his congressional email address, his political email address. So yes, sending him an email saying, "Hey, douchebag, we need some hearings with these judges that refuse to follow constitutional law and refuse to follow the directions from SCOTUS," would be a good thing.
Yep.
Would not hurt my feelings if he ended up with a bunch of those. Wouldn't hurt my feelings at all.
I mean, hell, was it Judge Easterbrook and Wood? I mean, who else out there we know was
I got to look up, and I'm not so worried about the dumbasses Easterbrook and others who wrote the decisions. I want to hear more from the people that wrote the dissents in those cases. Because see, even with decisions that I agree with, a lot of times I'll breeze through the actual opinion and then I go read the dissent. And if the dissent has some founding and some logic to it, they might be able to sway me a little bit. But most of the time, we see the dissent in these anti-gun cases is nothing but, wow, the children. And yeah, fuck you. That has nothing to do with our rights.
Okay, but like, look at California, the Ninth Circuit. That woman didn't just even make a ruling. She said, "I'm not going to even make a ruling on this."
Yes, and that's all federal judges. So that's getting to Todd's point. If these judges aren't called to question for this stuff, they're just going to keep doing the same thing. My point was, if there's no negative consequences for them, then they get to do what they want. That kind of makes them above the fucking law, doesn't it?
It's pretty much was a word just kind of not doing your civic duty, but also the fact that you're technically not supporting your law. To be a judge is a serious duty.
Yes. And see, they might be good on some cases, but when it comes to upholding rights, they're not. And if you can't look at something that you completely agree with and say, hold on, this is what the Constitution says, even though I don't agree with this, this is what the Constitution says, and this doesn't fit, and the Constitution wins. If you can't do that, you can't separate your personal feelings from that whole situation. And as much as the left likes to talk about unconscious bias, well, you have more than just an unconscious bias, and you shouldn't be on the bench at all.
Because it's all politically motivated then.
It is. And that's all it is. So,
yeah.
But anyway, guys, I am going to get out of here. I didn't plan on starting the stream tonight, but I got that message that Brady was having their thing, and be on the lookout because I think I've still got some with every town and some other places. So,
oh God, dude.
I know. I love the pain.
Actually, Coop, can you actually contact the guy from Walk Talk America?
I know. I don't know him.
No, but if it was possible, if contacted him, imagine if he was on that actual panel and he called.
Oh, dude. Hey, I am all about anybody who knows, because I think DJ Play Nice knows guys from Walk Talk America, or anybody else that runs in the same circles. Yeah, if you want to show this to Walk to Talk America and get them in fucking contact with Brady, I am all about that shit. I am merely the mediator of the argument at that point.
No, I'd love to see him actually reacting to this shit.
Oh God, man. I wish I had the one from Giffords not too long back. Before my other computer died, I was on there with Giffords. I didn't get to talk on that one, but I was in the text chat. They were talking about, mental freaking emergencies and guns and all that. And they wish we could do this and that. And I was like, hey, there's an organization called Walk the Talk America that will come, get their firearms from them and then get them to mental counseling. You ought to look them up. And the lady from Giffords was like, well, yeah, we'll have to look them up. Bet you, I guarantee you ain't looked them up. Or when
Yep,
you
it's
did,
all
you went,
political
ooh.
bias right there.
Yeah. Yeah. If you did look them up, you went, oh, no, we ain't dealing with them. Because they actually do something to help. So eat one. But I'll continue to do this kind of shit because honestly, part of it is amusing.
But it just proves the point, They just want to keep drinking the Kool-Aid and let them do it, because if they want to learn, find out the hard way then.
Well, it proves the point that they're all about focusing on the firearm itself, but none of the issues that lead to that firearm becoming a problem. If you don't focus on all those issues, I can take that firearm out of the equation and put a knife there or a car there or a truck there or an excavator or anything else, and that becomes the issue for them. Instead of how do we keep these things from happening? So yeah, dude, they're so intellectually dishonest. It's not even funny. But anyway, I did got to get out of here. I got to grab me something to eat. But you perps, as always, be cool. Let me grab the right one. Keep that thing on you at all times. And realize your government hates you and anti-gun groups are absolutely intellectually dishonest and they have the media to back them up. So we got to do shit like this. All right, guys. Love each and every one of you guys. Gabber, everybody. Too many choices. Freaking so many cool people in the chat. Warsaw. Oh, man. Red Dawn Readiness. DB. Fucking Blade Boy. All you guys, man. I can't name everybody in the chat right now. It's been one of those nights. Vanessa was in earlier, I think. All you guys take it easy. Be cool. And be on the lookout because there may be more streams like this coming unless these assholes catch on. So other than that, I am out, guys. I love you guys. Take them easy.